Good evening, Rabbi. We have coming up next week, the week that falls on Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av itself, the fast of Tisha B'Av will be on Thursday, Wednesday night, Thursday. And also we have the 9 days now. We're in the midst of the 9 days of the Tisha B'Av. So therefore we have to discuss the halachot, which are relevant and pertinent, so we know what to do, how to deal with everything. We already discussed in our lecture on Tuesday night that we're not allowed to eat meat during the 9 days. Both the Sephardim and Ashkenazim now, once Rosh Chodesh is over, our custom is not to eat. But however, you should know that on Shabbat it's allowed, because Shabbat we don't do any mourning, so therefore on Shabbat we eat in a regular way, which is called Shabbat Chazon. This is coming up Shabbat, is Shabbat Chazon. And we do eat meat, and we have all the trimmings and all the foods that we want to eat, and there's no limitations regarding that. But the question is, what about Erev Shabbat? What about before Shabbat? What about after Shabbat? So the truth is that there is also an instance where a person is allowed to have meat on Erev Shabbat. What does that mean? On Friday, if he happens to be making a certain dish and he needs to taste it in order to know if it needs more spice, salt, pepper, whatever it is, so he's allowed to taste it, and in order to ascertain whatever it needs to be prepared properly. This is not really called eating, it's called tasting. And for tasting, when we taste a small amount, we don't even bless for that. There's no blessing for that unless he eats a larger amount. So therefore, in a case like that, he would be able, it's brought down in the Sfarim, the Poskim, that he would be able to taste the food, because this is not really part of the custom of not having meat. So therefore, it's allowed. Now, regarding also after Shabbat, there is also Seudat Mitzvah, a mitzvah meal that we have, Malav Malka, which is after Shabbat goes out. And that meal, since it's a mitzvah, as we said, therefore it's allowed to have meat also during that meal as well, because Seudat Mitzvah, the custom doesn't include Seudot Mitzvah, the mitzvah meals. So therefore a person for Malav Malka, especially if he usually has meat for Malav Malka, he certainly can have also this week as well, he can have meat because it's Seudat Mitzvah. So therefore there's no problem with that. Some people are going to be more stringent regarding that. That's okay, that's good. If you want to be stringent, just have a little fish or something, whatever, some dairy, no problem. If you want to be like that, that's very good, very commendable. But if you're usually having from Malav Malka meat, so there's really no reason to refrain from having it this week, because if you do, it's like you're shortchanging the mitzvah of Malav Malka. And from the Talmud, it implies that it's not good to shortchange this mitzvah if you really doing it on a certain level usually, so to stay on that level and don't reduce the level, so therefore it would be allowed. There's also another instance, which is that what about the leftovers that get left over from Shabbat? So you may think, oh well, whatever's left over, I'll just throw in the garbage. But the truth is that a person doesn't have to throw out leftovers in the garbage, the meat leftovers. There is also a way to use those leftovers. One, first of all, you can freeze them. That would be the one very simple solution. You can freeze it and then have it once it's allowed to have. Of course, there will be no problem with that. But there's also other solutions that we can come up with when it comes to the meat that gets left over from Shabbat. Obviously, first of all, a person shouldn't make more than enough on Shabbat just for the sake of having leftovers so he can eat them afterwards. That wouldn't be the proper thing to do. But if he's doing this every week like that, that's the way he makes it. There's always something left over. Usually the dishes don't get consumed on Shabbat, so there's always something left over. But nevertheless, whatever it is, the question is, if he has leftovers, what can he do with that? So number one, he can give it to the children, because nowadays children are considered to be weak physically, so therefore we do allow them to have meat, especially when they're not within yet a year of the bar mitzvah or the bat mitzvah. They're still more than a year away, 11 years old for a male or 10 years old for a female. We could definitely give them the meat that gets left over from Shabbat. That would be one way to use it. And also another way to use it would be for people who have certain illnesses or whatever. The truth is that people who are ill or weak or frail, and they're not really very healthy, like older people, senior citizens, so forth and so on, and also a woman who just gave birth and so forth for the first month, she's very weak. So therefore people like this are allowed to have the meat, and so therefore we could give the meat to them that got left over from Shabbat. There will be another solution. But the truth is that we find in the in the writings of the Chidam, and also Rabbi Chaim Palagi, they say that, and also Moreno Rabbeinu, Rabbi Yosef, he also writes that the truth is that there are poskim who allow, even for a regular person who is actually healthy, to eat the leftovers from Shabbat. What does that mean? That since it got left over, it's not really considered to be like something festive. It's just something you want to get rid of. You don't want to throw it in the garbage. So therefore, there is no problem to eat the leftovers that got left over from Shabbat, according to several poskim. So therefore, if a person wants to be lenient regarding that, especially if he's a little bit weak and he's not so healthy, and needs meat to give him the strength to do his job during the day, conduct his affairs, so a person like that definitely has what to rely on to eat the leftovers from Shabbat. As we said, right, that you shouldn't make extra just to have leftovers. That wouldn't be the proper thing to do. But if you usually do that every week, and it turned out that something got left over, so a person who wants to be lenient definitely can be lenient regarding that. There are some more stringent. If you want to be stringent, it's very, very good. Nothing wrong with that. As long as you're strong enough to do your work and to do your job. Thank God. So therefore, Rabbatai, there is what to do also with the meat. There's no reason to throw it in the garbage. Why waste food? It's not something which is proper to do. So there's a solution for everybody, as we said. Also, regarding next week, after Shabbat goes out, there's also a question about drinking wine, because when we make Havdalah, so the Havdalah requires wine or grape juice. It seems to be the same thing. So the question is, what do we do with that wine? Who can drink it? Because the custom amongst many communities is not to drink wine during the week that falls on Tisha B'Av. So therefore, what do? According to the Shulchan Aruch Maran, the truth is that you're allowed to drink that because it's a mitzvah to drink the wine of the Havdalah. So therefore, it's a mitzvah and therefore it's permitted. But the Ramah, who's the rabbi of the Ashkenazim, he says that the custom by them was not to drink. So therefore, the Ashkenazim, what they do is they give it to a katan, they give it to a small kid to drink the wine. The first they bless on it, and instead of drinking it themselves, they give it to a child to drink, and that's also fine, right? Every person does according to their custom. The truth is that it's brought down in several books, including Moreno Rabbi Danielov. He brings in his book Chazon Ovadia, Arbataniot, and also it's brought down in the books of the Chida and also Rabbi Chaim Palagi, that there were several communities that did not have a custom to refrain from drinking wine during the week that falls in Tisha B'Av. Why? Because the truth is that according to Halakha, according to the law of the Talmud in Masechet Ta'anit, it's not really forbidden during this week to eat meat and drink wine during the whole week. It's just the last meal, Seudat Mafseket, that we have before the fast commences. That meal a person is not allowed to have according to the din, according to Talmud. But according to Talmud, it's permitted to have it all week. So therefore, there were many communities, because of this reason, that did not take on the custom of refraining from wine during the week of Tisha B'Av. So therefore, those communities continue their custom and drink wine if they want to. There's no problem with that, as long as they know what their custom is. The truth is, if a person is not sure what his custom is, so he can be lenient, because customs are not considered to be so stringent. And when there's a doubt regarding customs, we always go lakula. We always go to sides of leniency. So therefore, if a person really wants to drink wine and his custom allows that, no problem with that. Every person according to his custom. That's the idea of a type. So then we get to also the issue of the prohibitions which commence during the week of Tisha B'Av. One of the most important things that a person has to know is that we're not allowed to do laundry on that week. So what does that mean? That a person should prepare all his laundry needs today, tomorrow, until Shabbat comes in. We're talking about the Sephardim, because the Ashkenazim already have stopped doing laundry from Rosh Chodesh. So therefore they have nothing to worry about. But we can still do laundry today and tomorrow until Shabbat comes in. So therefore, if you want to take something to the dry cleaner, this is the time to do it. Or if you want to take out something from the dry cleaner also. Things like this, right? Whatever it is, or you want to do some laundry, do it now. Do it today or tomorrow, or tonight or tomorrow, whatever it is. And then once the Shabbat comes in and Shabbat goes out, then it will be forbidden to do laundry for everybody. All the communities will be forbidden to do that, with the exception of one thing, which is that a person, if he has things like socks and towels and underwear, he needs to launder things like that, which are constantly getting soiled every day, getting sweaty. So if a person doesn't have enough of those things, the prohibition doesn't fall on that. So the truth is, right, the reason we know the prohibition doesn't fall on those things, because just like on Chol HaMoed we say that many poskim write that these things you're allowed to launder them, and the reason is because they get dirty all the time, so there's really no prohibition to launder things like that which are getting dirty all the time. Towels, as we said, underwear, t-shirts, and so forth and so on, the people will change every day because of the sweat. So therefore, on the week of Tisha B'Av, we're not going to be more stringent than we are during Chol HaMoed. Why? Because Chol HaMoed is like from the Torah, according to many poskim, and Tisha B'Av is just a custom. The week of Tisha B'Av is just a custom. So therefore, there's no reason to be more stringent. That's what the Rashba says. That's what it says in the Shulchan Aruch as well. So therefore, if a person needs to wash things like that, he is allowed to wash them. The prohibition doesn't fall on things like that. But the rest of the things, which things people change, not every day like that, for purpose of sweating, they're not allowed to launder them, and also a person is not allowed to wear newly laundered clothing during the week that falls on Tisha B'Av. So therefore, even if he laundered it before, he shouldn't wear it during the week of Tisha B'Av. So what should he do? Right? We find in the poskim that they recommend what you should do is wear the clothing for like a half hour before the week of Tisha B'Av. So therefore, it's already considered to be worn. It's not considered to be freshly laundered. So once it's not freshly laundered, a person can wear those things without any issue. Even if you wore it for a few minutes or for a half hour, that's enough. So what the custom is that people who don't have freshly things which they need to wear during the week of Tisha B'Av, because it's freshly laundered, what they do is that they prepare it on Shabbat. But on Shabbat, you're not allowed to prepare for the weekday. So how do you prepare? It's very simple, right? You put on one shirt, or let's say pants, whatever it is that you need to wear. You put on one during the evening of Shabbat because you need to wear something on Shabbat, and then when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you can put on another shirt or another pair of pants, or all these kinds of clothing, and therefore it's considered to be like you already wore it. And then if you take a nap also in the afternoon, you can also change and get it. So you can have like three pieces of clothing prepared on Shabbat, and this way you're not really preparing. Why? Because anyway, when you go to sleep, you have to take off your shirt, you have to take off your pants. So therefore, it's not really considered like you're preparing for the weekday. So in a way like that, in a manner like that, a person can prepare his needs for that week, even though he wasn't able to do so before. But if he already did it before, there's no reason to do it again on Shabbat. There's no purpose for that. That's the idea of Rabbi. So as we said, you cannot do laundry on the week of Tisha B'Av, and also you cannot wear freshly laundered clothing on Tisha B'Av. They're both forbidden, and both scenarios are forbidden. So what he can do is like this, right? If he's going to need, let's say, shirts for the next Shabbat, the following Shabbat, afterwards, which is Shabbat Nachamu, so what he's going to do is like this, right? He can take in now and do the laundry now. For the Sephardim we're talking about, not for the Ashkenazim, as we said. And he can do the laundry now or take it into the dry cleaners now, and he won't be able to take it out from the dry cleaners during the week of Tisha B'Av. So once the fast goes out, which is Thursday night, so he'll be able to take it out on Friday and then wear it for Shabbat. That's how he'll be able to overcome this issue. We also have the issue of bathing on the week of Tisha B'Av, which is forbidden in hot water. So therefore, a person, accustomed by most people, is to bathe with cold water. The Ashkenazim do like parts of the body, if I'm not mistaken, and the Sephardim do the whole body with cold water. So each community does according to their custom. There are some Ashkenazi poskim who allow even more than that. Why is that? Like Moshe Feinstein, what he wrote was something interesting, like a chidush, a novel idea. He said that really the truth is that when it comes to mourning, bathing is only forbidden for purposes of pleasure. So therefore, if a person is just bathing, taking a shower to wipe off, to wash off the sweat or some dirt that got on his body, he says that this is not really part of the prohibition. So therefore, he does allow even to take a hot shower for the purpose of washing off sweat. So the truth is that he's right, 100% correct. That's what we find also in the Aruch HaShulchan and other poskim. They do bring this down. So therefore, if a person has a hard time bathing in cold water because it hurts his body, whatever, or because he can't bathe properly that way, he doesn't really do the job. So what happens is that he can also, he just wants to wash off the sweat, he can use hot water as well. But the custom, really, the truth is to use cold water only. So each person, according to his needs, he knows what to do, right? And we're not gonna tell them what to do. You know yourself. If you're able to do cold water, do cold water. If you're not able to do it, and you need hot water, and you're not doing it for pleasure, as that's the most important thing. As long as you're not doing it for pleasure, so we have no problem with that. That's not really there's no prohibition there. And also regarding haircuts for Batai, there is a prohibition to do haircuts and shaving. Next week, Ashkenazim already started before, doing it 3 weeks. They don't do it, but by us, by the Sfardim, the prohibition is only during the week of. So therefore now, since the fast falls on Thursday, all this week we're not going to be able to do shaving and haircuts. So therefore, if you're Sephardi, if you're Ashkenazi, you already started before. Too late. But if you're Sephardi, what you can do is you can take a haircut and a shower and a shave today or tomorrow, right, for Shabbat, and you're all set. Right? So next week you're not going to have any issues, any problems. Make sure you do everything before Shabbat, and this way you'll be all prepared. Also regarding wearing of clean clothing for Shabbat, the Sfardim, they do everything in the normal manner. They wear clean clothing, and they launder, and they make everything ready for Shabbat in the normal way, because we don't want to detract from Shabbat. The Ashkenazim are a little bit more stringent regarding that, but when it comes to the Sfardim, we're very lenient regarding that, because all these things are customs. The truth is, that according to the Talmud, as we said, there's no prohibition to do laundry and haircuts, and also to bathe during the week of Tisha B'Av. The prohibition is only on Tisha B'Av itself, or before Tisha B'Av, the eve of Tisha B'Av. So therefore, we're not really so stringent. It's already as it is. It's an additional custom. So therefore, there's no reason to go further than that. So therefore, Rabbatai, a person will be mindful of all these things, so everything will be Bezat Hashem okay. There's a solution for things. If you have a problem. Also, if a person has something that he needs to wear for Shabbat, and he needs to, let's say he has a stain on a certain shirt or a certain suit, and he has nothing else to wear, so you're allowed to do stain washing, to do just to rub off the stain by using water and some soap, whatever, some detergent. There's no prohibition to use, because it's not really the normal way of laundering. So therefore, if a person needs to wash off a stain, he can definitely do that. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve'Amen, Chazak u'Baruch, all the blessings.